We'd place these seating sections, and then something changed in the setting. We'd actually updated the symbol, and after I changed the geometry of the symbol, the alignment of the seating changed, and the depth of the seat is relative to the row spacing. So I determined by investigating the lower section of the bowl that the row spacing was a major culprit, also was a setting referred to as distance past boundary. I took a screenshot of the lower sections, the settings that actually worked, and that distant pass boundary was changed to 1 inch, and the rise value on the lower section is 1'1", but I've noticed that if I change my row spacing, so the row spacing is 11 1/4, so what I've determined kind of works for every row. And if I change my distance past boundary, that these seats will correct themselves. And I actually did one section on the upper, just to see if that was actually the case, and it was. And then there's a third step. Actually, I have to move the whole section by a distance of the row spacing. So we move it forward. I believe those were the 3 steps. So let's go ahead and go through that. Let's rotate to a different view here. This is a strange graphic anomaly, I think. Graphic anomaly, showing these rows out in space. These aren't intentionally drawn. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is correct the row spacing. That should be 11 1/4. So row spacing 11 1/4. So that's 5 1/4. We can just add 6. And the distance past boundary that's allowed, I shorten that to 1 inch. So it would be a bit more accurate with the boundary, but not an absolute 0. Maybe I need to widen that by 6 inches, but that's what it gives us. And notice the seats appear to have been sunken into the floor, but this is where we can just change or actually move the object by 1 row spacing. Object being the seating section. So let's look at top plan. Okay, keyboard command, let's look and, oh, I'm still typing zeros in here. I zeroed out the row spacing. I don't want it to be 0. That should be 11 1/4. Click out of that. Now we want to move this by the row spacing, which is 11 1/4. Okay, escape out of that field. Top plan, 0. Good, Command 6. Command M to move. Row spacing's already there, 11 1/4. And we'll look at that in 3D. This particular row was drawn forward because there's no entrance tunnel to go underneath. Command Shift G, remapped for shaded, and we see that the seats are in good enough position for now. We should probably add row up top, a couple rows, etc. But just getting it all in the geometry was the first goal. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and walk through the steps one more time. So select the next section. This is a seating section, as we've seen the object info palette. And what we want to do is change the row spacing, so it's 11 1/4. And the distance past boundary to 1. You can see this happening in 3D now. Becomes a more accurate section. And in top plan, oops, I changed the rise value. I'm gonna hit escape. It won't return that information. I'll hit 0 for my top plan. So we're gonna be careful when we're entering information into the object info palette and trying to interact with the modeling space. We need to be sure to escape out of these fields, otherwise we're, as you see, inputting information we didn't intend to. So zooming into this section here, and we're gonna do Command M one more time. The M to move, our value is still there. Okay, that should fix that section. That's a good spot for now. Notice how we move this back or omitted that row so that we didn't have to deal with the cutout. For now, get back to it. And the last one, let's look at it from a different angle here. The spacing, you'll notice after we're done with this, we're going to have to match this back up against the mirror line because this is actually a mirrored symbol to create this effect, and draw half as much. Could paste in here 11 1/4 since I still have that on my clipboard. Change the distance pass boundary to 1. Rise value stays the same. Escape to make sure we're out of any data entry fields here, and 0 for top plan. Where am I entering 0? Okay, I'll click into the drawing area, and 0, and 6. Computer's a little bit less responsive when capturing video and working with seat sections. Move these. Alright, get that 3D. Just number 3 to get an isometric view. Shift Command G to render shaded. Again, that's a mapped shortcut in my workspace. That looks pretty close. And the nice thing is that we used symbols on these other sections, so those mirrored across and fixed. So we can exit the symbol and check that out. Alright, looks good on the middle sections. Now we're going to clean the ends, and then we'll come back and tighten up the seating areas. Then we'll add some railing and some nosing, some safety nosing to the step.